It's wild how fast the tide can turn, especially in elite circles where image is everything and loyalty has an expiration date. Meghan Markle just got a cold, hard reminder of that. You'd think a long-time friendship with Serena Williams would mean something. Years of public support, wedding appearances, interviews, but nope. When it came time for Serena to put together an exclusive girls' trip to Lake Como, Meghan's name didn't even make the list. And that wasn't by accident. According to people in the know, this wasn't just a scheduling thing or a missed text. It was a statement. The trip was intimate, handpicked. A select few high-profile women with a shared vibe of calm success, and most importantly, zero drama. Emma Thynn, the Marchiness of Bath, was there. Yes, the same Emma who gracefully navigates British high society, made history as the first black Marchioness, and somehow manages to stay in the spotlight without ever chasing it. She's everything Meghan once tried to be. Regal, mixed heritage, poised, but without the noise. While Meghan's name is glued to controversy, Emma floats above it. That contrast, it wasn't lost on anyone. Sources say Meghan'd reach out. She tried Serena. She tried a couple of the other women, even left voice notes. But the responses, either silence or painfully polite brush-offs. And the reason? They were keeping this one super intimate. That's the Hollywood way of saying, you're not welcome. The icing on the cake, apparently, during the trip planning, one of the women joked, "You can't party with us." Just a joke, they said. But when it leaked, it hit Meghan like a slap across the face. Because this isn't high school. This is the upper crust of the Hollywood socialite royal crossover world telling you, you're officially out. The fall didn't happen overnight. Meghan's been on a slow but steady descent, even if she hasn't realized it yet. She used to be in a group chat with Serena and other influential women, but over time, her presence in that chat became a lot. Every conversation, she'd somehow loop back to how unfairly she's been treated. A friend shares good news. Meghan spins it into a story about being overlooked. Another celebrates a big deal. Meghan drops a comment about how hard it is for women of color to succeed while making it all about her. Eventually, the chat got shut down. A new one started. She wasn't invited. Behind the scenes, even her closest allies were getting tired. Serena, who had defended Meghan more times than she probably wanted to, started pulling back. It wasn't about one big blow-up. It was more like exhaustion. Quiet boundaries, calculated distancing, and who could blame her? Serena's building her empire, focusing on motherhood, investing in fashion and business. The last thing she needs is to be dragged into another headline because Meghan decided to send a not-so-subtle PR message through a podcast or Netflix special. One of Serena's business partners reportedly said it flat out, "If Meghan's coming, you can kiss discretion goodbye." That comment stuck. These women weren't looking for drama on their weekend in Lake Como. They wanted peace. Wine. Maybe a few photos for the private album, not the Daily Mail. And Meghan, she found out about the trip through whispers, through stories being told without her name in them. And for someone who's built an entire brand on empowerment and inclusion, there's something painfully ironic about being excluded by the very women she once saw as her circle. But this wasn't about jealousy or mean girl games. It was a reset, a way of saying, enough. Hollywood isn't just about red carpets and paparazzi. It's a chessboard, and every move counts. Meghan Markle used to be a queen piece, boldly navigating through the chaos with major alliances, a fairy tale wedding, and global visibility. But something shifted. Her story, once celebrated as a modern rise through grit and grace, started sounding more like a broken record. Legal battles, Netflix rants, Spotify drama, endless headlines. What was once sympathy turned into fatigue. The industry that embraced her started backing away, not with drama, just silence. That's how it happens in Hollywood. They don't fire you, they stop calling. Insiders say a big part of the problem is Meghan's obsession with controlling the narrative. Everything had to be framed around her struggle. Every podcast, every interview, every press release screamed the same theme: misunderstood, mistreated, misrepresented. For a while that worked. People listened, but over time it wore thin. Executives wanted fresh ideas, not recycled grievances. Producers wanted stories, not soapboxes. Even her own team reportedly struggled to keep up with her need to shape every detail. Take her Netflix deal, for example. When it first dropped, it was pitched as the next big thing. Personal, bold, and impactful. But behind the scenes, whispers started surfacing. Endless creative disagreements, power struggles. Several projects were shelved quietly. Some scripts were deemed too self-focused. A team member allegedly said, "She doesn't know how to make it about the audience, it's always about her." That feedback? Brutal. But in an industry driven by connection and relatability, it was also a death sentence for creative trust. And it's not just the Hollywood crowd stepping back, her old circle from the royal days pretty much evaporated. Relationships that once looked like unbreakable bonds, Oprah, Gayle, Tyler Perry, are now distant and professional at best. Some still speak kindly in public, but there's a clear line. No one's rushing to be part of Meghan's next big project. The fear isn't about being dragged into gossip, it's about brand contamination. When every move she makes ends up under a media microscope, associating with her becomes risky. Meanwhile, Emma Thynn is out here playing the long game with precision. She's not chasing press. She's not on Netflix. She's not even trying to rebrand herself. That's the kicker. She doesn't have to. Emma moves with intention, choosing quiet philanthropy, elegant appearances, and genuine interactions over viral sound bites. And somehow she's become the it woman of the moment. Powerful, graceful, drama-free. People are noticing the contrast. Both Emma and Meghan broke racial barriers in traditionally white spaces, but their paths couldn't be more different. Emma embraced her heritage while seamlessly blending into aristocratic life. Meghan, on the other hand, turned every room into a battlefield. Us versus them. Insiders versus outcasts. Emma earned respect quietly. Meghan demanded it loudly. One got invited to Lake Como, the other got left on read. Serena isn't the only one stepping away. One Hollywood executive allegedly called Meghan a walking press release. Another described meetings with her as exhausting, saying she came with too many handlers, too much spin, and not enough substance. That kind of reputation doesn't just kill deals, it closes doors that never reopen. People want real, they want grounded, and Meghan, with her perfectly curated victimhood, no longer feels either. In a space where every connection can shape your future, Meghan's losing the one thing she always thought she controlled: access. Not because people hate her, but because they're tired. And tired people don't argue, they just move on. Meghan Markle built an entire brand on being the outsider who broke in. The American actress who married a prince spoke her truth and redefined what royalty could look like. For a while, that narrative worked. She was bold, emotional, defiant, a symbol for anyone who ever felt left out. But somewhere along the way, the underdog story started morphing into a cautionary tale. The same headlines that once hailed her bravery now echo with criticism, and not from tabloids alone. Her own peers, the ones who used to champion her, are quietly stepping away. The reality is, Meghan's presence has become synonymous with chaos. She doesn't just attract attention, she drags it like a hurricane. Lawsuits, exposés, tell-all interviews, PR maneuvers. It's non-stop. And for people like Serena Williams, who are transitioning into a softer, more refined chapter of their lives, that chaos is no longer worth the loyalty points. When you're building empires in finance, wellness, and family legacy, drama is a liability. That's why the trip to Lake Como wasn't just a vacation, it was a filter, and Meghan didn't make it through. One source close to Serena put it simply, Serena's in her peace era, Meghan isn't. That peace era includes private yachts, business meetings over brunch, low-key philanthropy, and nights without a single TMZ alert. It's not about being elitist, it's about being selective. And Serena's selection said it all. Emma Thynn, not Meghan Markle, is who you bring when you want calm, elegance, and no PR cleanup the next morning. Emma represents a different kind of power, the kind that doesn't announce itself. She doesn't need to sit across from Oprah to explain who she is. She lets her actions, her poise, and her reputation speak for her. And that's why people like Serena are gravitating toward her. She's the anti-Meghan in the most unintentional way. No press tours, no trauma memoirs, just legacy work and quiet wins. Back in Montecito, Meghan's response to the snub was reportedly a mix of disbelief and PR strategy. She reached out to some of the women from the trip, sent texts, voice notes, maybe hoping for some clarity or to smooth things over. But the replies, if any, were short and polite. One of them reportedly just said, "We're trying to keep things really chill right now." That's not a rejection, that's a freeze out. The deeper sting wasn't just the silence, it was the symbolism. Meghan, who once branded herself as a voice for empowered women, now finds herself iced out by the very women she thought were her tribe. It's not pettiness, it's boundaries. For too long, she's operated in a space where she assumed being vocal and visible was enough. But visibility, without vulnerability, without humility, has a short shelf life. In the eyes of the elite, being exhausting is worse than being wrong. Meghan's perceived inability to share space without dominating it has cost her dearly. Relationships that could have lasted decades have burned out in a few short years. And as her circle shrinks, her moves feel more desperate. New podcast attempts, vague philanthropic launches, carefully staged photo ops. But none of it sticks. The more she tries to reclaim relevance, the more the silence around her gets louder. Emma's rise isn't just a story of elegance, it's a mirror, one that reflects what Meghan could have been if she'd embraced quiet strength instead of loud resistance. The tragedy isn't that Meghan was excluded from a trip. It's that she's becoming a guest in a world she once thought she owned, and no amount of curated speeches or branded documentaries can change that.